Good evening, it's meteorologist Michael Fecca. Welcome back to the 9 p.m. all-weather, all-streaming show we do here every night during the workdays and on weekends. We stream it out to all of our streaming platforms as well as to Facebook and YouTube. So if you're joining us from either of those places, please feel free to leave us a question or a comment down below. Hopefully, I'll be able to address everything as I go through the forecast, but if not, I'll go through at the very end and see if I can address anything individually for you. But let's get started here with a look at what we're tracking. Well, we had a beautiful sunny and warm day this afternoon. We topped out in the lower 40s. That sunshine helped melt things out of or at least melt some of that snowpack out of here. Now that has prompted some wet surfaces on roadways and side streets and of course sidewalks. So as temperatures drop below freezing tonight, if they are still wet, you may have some black ice. So you want to be cautious of that as you drive or walking anywhere overnight or into tomorrow. And then that cold snap stays with us through the day on Saturday. So we're only going to be topping out in the upper 20s to around 30 degrees tomorrow before warming back up to around average for our Sunday. And then that warming trend continues into the start of the work week there, soaring well above average for this time of year, topping out in the 50s by Monday and into the 60s by Tuesday in some locations. And then it looks like we turn to a more unsettled weather pattern towards the middle and end of next week with multiple chances for showers and some cooler temperatures on the way, but it looks like temperatures should just even out to around average for this time of year. But here's a live look at our Doppler radar across the U.S. Right now, we have this area of low pressure that's kind of swinging out of the Great Lakes region and passing to the north of New England. That brought in that cold front earlier this afternoon. So we started out with that sunshine, that cold front came in, and then as the colder air sunk in behind that front, we started to see some low-level cloud cover develop. And so we're going to be stuck in the clouds here through much of the evening. They will start to break up a bit overnight tonight. And as this colder air sinks in from the northwest, we even have the chance for a few flurries or maybe even a light snow shower, mainly off to the north and east of the tri-state. But I wouldn't be surprised if at least some far eastern counties maybe saw a few flurries or a light snow shower overnight tonight, but not expecting anything major out of that. Just another cloudy and cool night ahead of us here. So here's a look at our future radar, timing everything out through the rest of this evening. Cloud cover continues to break apart. If you look well off to the northeast there, to the east of Louisville, you can see those little blue shade colors. That's where those snow showers likely will continue to press on. And again, as some of these clouds drop in from the north, you could see a flurry or two out of that. But again, not expecting really anything major to come of this because we have high pressure that's going to be building in overnight tonight and into the weekend. So that's going to keep things on the drier side for us. But taking a look at those high temperatures this afternoon, it felt wonderful out there. Hopefully you're able to take some time to get outside while that sun was still out because it felt wonderful just being able to feel it on your skin. It just felt warm, something we really haven't felt in quite some time. We topped out at around 44 degrees here in Evansville. And as I mentioned earlier, that did help melt out some of that snowpack, and if there are some wet surfaces, they will likely freeze up again overnight tonight. We're not seeing anything below freezing just yet, so that light breeze may help to actually dry out some of those wet spots before those temperatures drop below freezing. So we still may see that chance for some areas of black ice, but it shouldn't be, you know, like a skating rink out there or anything. But temperatures are sitting in the mid to upper 30s, 37 in Madisonville, same thing there in Fairfield and here in Evansville, 36 in Owensboro, Henderson, and Huntingburg. As temperatures and cloud covers, as cloud cover clears out tonight, temperatures will continue to drop into those lower 20s overnight and into early tomorrow morning. And I did just want to touch a little bit on what black ice is. You know, we're not talking about an actual color of black, but we're talking about the fact that it's such a very thin layer of moisture that sits on the roadways, and when it freezes up, you can hardly see it. So it's pretty much transparent, and that's why we call it that, because it's hard to see, especially at night. So that's why we just want to make sure you're keeping an eye out as you're driving. If it looks wet, it may actually be a little bit of ice. So you just want to slow down if you go over a wet spot overnight tonight, and then you should be okay. But I mentioned that cold snap sticks with us through the day on Saturday. We top out only in the upper 20s to around 30, so it's going to be another very chilly day tomorrow, nothing like what it was today. So we will see a return of that, though. We will get back up into the lower 40s for the second half of the weekend there for Sunday. But let's time everything out here throughout the weekend. So we could expect maybe partly cloudy skies waking up early tomorrow morning, but then mostly sunny skies should dominate the region throughout Saturday afternoon. And then as we get into the overnight hours, it looks like that cloud cover will fill back into the day on Sunday. So we'll wake up to mostly cloudy skies, and then it looks like those clouds should clear out of here gradually through Sunday afternoon. So it looks like Saturday will be the sunnier day, but Sunday not too bad either. And then with high pressure building in and off to our east, that will keep us clear throughout the day on Monday, but winds start to come up out of the south again. So that means we start to warm up through the first part of next week. We're expected to remain above average for those temps. And looking at the temperature trend, it's going to feel great. We've got temperatures in the lower 50s by Monday. We'll stay dry with mostly sunny skies. That looks like, honestly, the pick of the week. Tuesday would be the pick of the week because it's the warmest, but it's going to be clouded over a little bit with some rain chances there, not only for Tuesday and Wednesday, but possibly lingering towards the end of the work week. The forecast in terms of precipitation chances becomes very uncertain beyond Wednesday. So there's a lot of model discrepancy and a lot of back and forth between how these frontal boundaries are going to interact and where exactly they set up will determine our chances for precipitation through the end of next week. So we just got to get through the next couple of days until those models can kind of get a better handle on it. But regardless, it looks like we'll probably enter a little bit more of a wet weather pattern with some more activity here through the end of next week. But our best chances for the rain is still Tuesday night and into Wednesday. But the models do have some differing opinions. So let me show you about that. This particular model, the GFS, wants to bring in those rain showers Tuesday afternoon and kick them out of here relatively early Wednesday morning. So maybe even overnight Tuesday and early Wednesday morning, we're already going to be drying out here. And it wants to dry us out throughout the entire day on Wednesday and then a good chunk of Thursday before we see our next best chances for rain moving in for the end of the work week and into next weekend. The European model wants to hold off on those rain chances a little bit later in the day on Tuesday, mainly overnight Tuesday and into Wednesday morning. And then it wants to keep the chances for showers going throughout the day on Wednesday, Thursday, and then it finally clears out of here early Friday morning before another round of a storm system begins to move in for the end of next weekend. Now, we're not going to concern ourselves with the precipitation type. Again, it's well about a week in advance, so there's going to be a lot of changes with that. And with this weather pattern, not really looking at a huge wintry precipitation type pattern here. So we'll likely start to see those that precipitation kind of trend on the warmer side towards the end of next week. But as far as any major storm systems over the next several days, we're not really seeing it. We've got those rain chances, but nothing really particularly strong or intense is expected here, at least through the end of the work week. But let me take a look at some of your questions. I'll put this full screen so you guys can get a better look. All right, Suzanne says, good evening. My driveway was very slick today. Yes, be careful of that, especially even when the snow is melting. Because it's been like rock hard ice snow at this point, it's been a little bit easier to drive in and out of, especially if you don't have a clean parking spot. But now that it warmed up, it became slushy again. So if you had your car parked in a spot where there was still snow, it may have been a little bit slick trying to get out again. Cheyenne says, good evening. Good evening to you, Paula and Linny. Laura Gray is watching from Dawson Springs. Thank you for tuning in. Ricky Brown says, good evening. Do you have a record of how long the snow has stayed on the ground? Well, at least as of, I think it was the beginning of the work week, we still had 7 inches of snow, or at least a 7-inch snowpack on the ground at the Evansville airport. And that was actually the third longest stretch of 8 or 9 consecutive days with 7 inches or more of snow on the ground. So that was a little bit of a record there for you. Darlene says, I can finally see some of my yard ready for spring. I could too. I was really excited. I walked out my door today and I saw a little patch of grass just peeking up through the snow. And I was like, oh, there it is, the taste of spring we've all been waiting for. Laura Gray, she says she's ready for warmer weather, and Lori Weaver says no more snow. Well, we don't really have to worry about that, at least within the next 5 to 7 days. Temperatures are looking to stay above freezing there, even for those overnight lows. Monday into Tuesday, possibly even there into Wednesday, we should stay above freezing. So any existing snow on the ground will be long gone and a forgotten memory, hopefully, by the time we get into the start of next week. But that is all I've got here for the forecast, so I'm going to hop off the live stream and I'll send you guys over to 14 News at 10 for all the latest news and weather headlines. Until then, everybody, stay safe and have a great weekend.